what happened leading up to the morning that Brandon was shot. This is where I bring in the surveillance footage from a self storage plus, a storage unit facility in Rexburg. And I'll tell you a little bit of background as to how we got this video. Right after I got back from Hawaii in 2020, I was at church a few weeks later and I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, but it was a guy who owned Self Storage Plus in Rexburg. He said, "I have footage of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell coming into my facility, and Lori Vallow rented a unit here, and would you like to see the footage and see what's inside the unit?" What? Yes, I would. I called him right back, and the next day I went up to Rexburg and he showed me the video. And he opened up the unit for me, the garage, and we saw the door and we saw the bikes that were in there that belonged to JJ and Tylee. Here's some of the pictures I took, and perhaps most startling to me was these blankets of photos. Why would you get rid of those? These are the things that you would grab if your house was on fire, the photos, the baby pictures, the toys, the memorable things. But there they were in a really cold storage unit. And we went through all of the video and we found, with the help of DJ Barney, the owner of Self Storage Plus, that Lori or Chad or Alex visited this unit. I believe it was 9 times in October of 2019 and 1 time in November. And here's the times they were there. Now, here's a caveat on the video that I'm about to show you. The hours are off by 1 hour. The clocks had not been set forward yet. But here is when and who visited those storage units. On October 1st, Lori went between 3:23 and 3:32. The next day, Lori and Chad were there between 2:27 and 2:31. That is the day that Brandon was shot at, October 2nd of 2019. The next day after that afternoon, October 3rd, Lori and Alex went to the unit, almost 24 hours after the visit with Lori and Chad. Alex then visited on October 6th, October 16th, and then on October 22nd, he visited for nearly an hour. That was the day of Tammy's funeral. On October 25th and on 26th, Alex was there. Most of these visits were relatively short. And then on October 28th, Alex and Chad visited, dropped off some bikes and other things. And then the last visit was November 24th. Lori and Chad visited. That visit was just days, I believe 2 days or 3 days before the police went and served the warrant at the house. I believe they went on the 26th of November when they first met. Lori and Chad was there and Alex. And we've seen the video of Detective Ball interacting with Lori. And then they went back the next day with a search warrant and Lori and Chad had gone. So what I've done is I've gone back to 3 important dates for this case. October 2nd, the day that Brandon was shot, October 3rd, and November 24th. Honestly, November 24th, probably won't play into this case, but I pulled the footage just out of curiosity to show you what Lori and Chad were doing on their last visit to the unit. But let's start with October 2nd, hours after Brandon had been shot. I'm going to play this and I'll talk you through it as we go through it. Here is Lori driving into Self Storage Plus. There's no audio. I sped this part up, by the way. This part is sped up. This part is sped up. She's pulling into the storage unit. This part is sped up, but here on this next clip is real time. I also zoomed in so you could see really close what type of things we were looking at. She stops there, she turns, and this particular day, she is there at the unit with Chad. Remember, Chad's wife is still alive. Tammy is still alive. They pull up to this door. They pause here for a couple of seconds. After a few seconds in the car, they open their door. They get out. You can see Lori gets out. Chad gets out. They go into the door of the actual storage facility. And then they go and they open up this unit. Now, Lori had just rented this unit the day before. That was her first visit, October 1st. So she clearly rented it with a purpose. They open up the door and then they go outside or it looks like she has to get a key or something to prop open the door, to keep the door open. Chad stands there. And the reason we know it's Chad, it seems right there for a moment, he looks up and sees the camera, and so does Lori. Do you look at that? I don't know what they said to each other, but it's like Chad observed the camera, and then Lori looked up too. Maybe I'm just being speculation there. Anyway, that's how I read it. They open this door. Chad then goes out. They open the trunk of the car, and Chad pulls out a tire. The tire that we believe was on the back of the Jeep that Alex at this moment had in Arizona, that was likely taken off the back so that he could shoot out the window. Chad rolls in the tire, puts it in the unit. Lori stands there for a minute. And then they go back outside. Chad stands there by the door. Wouldn't it be great to hear what they were saying to each other? Lori props the door open. And then they go and pull out the seat. Not the seat to that Nissan Rogue, but the seat, likely, that was in the Jeep that had been removed. It's fascinating to me that this seat and the tire were in that unit for just 24 hours. So wherever they decided to take off the tire and the seat, they didn't want to leave it there. Did they think the police might come? I have no idea. Because you would think they could just leave that over at Alex's condo or at the townhouse where he was staying or Lori was staying. Why not leave it there till he got back? But I'm sure they were nervous. Maybe. There they are trying to close the door. Because why would you take it there for just 24 hours? I don't know. They finally get the door closed. This is the part. Lori stands up. Remember, Tammy's alive. Tammy's at work right now, earning money to support the family. At the school, in the library. Chad is here with his lover. He goes over, he grabs her butt, touches her butt, gives her a little tap. And then they leave the facility. Here, Chad and Lori go leaving. They drive in front of the units, and then they turn, and here they actually leave the facility. All right, let's go to the next day and talk about what happened when Lori returned with her brother, Alex Cox. Lori once again driving. She pulls in. It's much sunnier this day. Again, this is October 3rd of 2019. Drives in. Goes down to the same place. Parks. This visit was, let me check, 3 minutes total. They were there. Notice they did not bring the Jeep back to pick up the tire and the seat. Kind of interesting. Instead, they brought Lori's car back. Here, Alex gets out. Lori gets out. They go inside the storage unit building. It's clearly not Chad this time. This person walks different, looks different, carries out the tire. Chad rolled it in. Alex carried it out. And here you'll see Alex opening up the door. They're there for a purpose, simply to grab those two things. And they go, they walk into the unit, and out comes Alex here shortly with the tire. There he is. Oh, no, with the seat. He carries out the seat first. That's the seat. Originally, we thought in the beginning that that was a tote with possibly something hanging over the edge. Some of you thought that it was legs. It's not legs. It was a car seat that Alex carried out by himself. They put it in the back of Lori's car. And then they go back in. That's the back seat to the Jeep. They go back in, and Alex grabs the tire. And again, this is all under 3 minutes. and likely goes back and puts it back onto the Jeep, puts the tire back on the Jeep, puts the seat back in the Jeep, so that weeks later, about a month later, when Detective Hermosillo sees the Jeep and is able to seize it and then seize it, it looks like a normal Jeep. This next video I want to show you real quick. This is their last visit to this storage unit. And the reason I wanted to show you this is just simply because this is when things are getting real. This is days away from the police showing up with search warrants, questions. I wonder if they may have known the walls were closing in a little bit. I don't know. That's just my guess. But this visit is with Lori and Chad. It's end of November. Tammy's been dead for about a month. The kids have been dead about 2 months. Lori and Chad are married. They've been married in Hawaii for a few weeks. They're back in Idaho. Just days after this, they're going to take off again and go back to Hawaii. This time they're driving Chad's car, or at least, yeah, Chad's driving this vehicle. They pull up here, and in just a second, we zoom in. We see them get out of the car. And they're dropping off a box of Home Depot items. And in a moment, I shouldn't say Home Depot items. I should say it's a Home Depot box. There's Chad. Lori gets out her side. They open the door. They did not show this in the first. We haven't seen these in trials. And one of the experts I asked, why not? There's Chad carrying in the box. He said that in court, you can't enhance these videos. Like, I've enhanced these videos. I've zoomed in. I've been able to crop. I've been able to speed it up. You can't do that in court. You can't add special effects. So there could be a question. Is that really Lori? Is that really Chad? Now, will they do it in Arizona? Will they show this footage in Arizona? We don't know. Chad walks out with a tote. And then he goes back in just a moment and gets another tote. So they left with totes. Now, we heard that totes, he goes in, drops one off. So kind of swapping out totes. I'm assuming it's not the same one that he just took. And then he gets another one and takes it out. And these totes, we would assume, were found at the house when police did the warrant of whatever was in this storage unit. There he goes with the other tote. And I think that that's all they took. Lori has something, a red bag or something. And here in just a moment, they'll close up the unit and they will drive away. Lori and Chad were in there a while. They may have been going through items. We don't know. Trying to see, should we take stuff? Should we leave stuff? They decide not to take anything else. They look in. And Chad closes up the shop, closes up the unit. And then here you'll see they walk out and they drive away. And days later, they really drove away or left. So that is kind of a breakdown of the security footage that I believe is such a pivotal part in this case, because we saw Alex and we saw Chad and we saw, if anything, Chad cheating on Tammy, which we know now. Back then, we didn't know all this. Police didn't know all this. These guys knew. But now we know. We have videotape proof that this was happening. And they're off. In fact, DJ had told me that they just got these cameras like weeks before. It was a brand new camera system. So kudos to them for getting these camera systems. So there we go. That's what we have.